See him? He's
Good.
getting shot.
Come here.
You heard him.
Hey. Tina.
Hey.
Walt Disney and Disney Studios is one of the most well-known companies in the world, and I've always loved it since I was a child and continue to do so today. So I'm going to talk about the life that led to the creation of Disneyland. I'll start with Walt Disney's early childhood, continue into his adulthood careers, and end with the successful launch of Disneyland in 1955. Let's start with his childhood. There we go. Walt Disney was born in 1901 to Elias and Flora Disney in Chicago, Illinois, and then in 1906, wanting a slower life, his family moved to a farm in Missouri where Walt discovered his love of drawing. His family moved again to Kansas City in 1911, where on his newspaper route, Walt Disney discovered his love of vaudeville, a form of musical entertainment as well as movies. His family moved again in 1917 to Chicago, Illinois, where Walt began drawing for his high school's newspaper as a cartoonist. Those are actually some of his drawings on the right. Then he also began taking night classes for the Chicago Academy of Fine Arts at night. With World War I raging overseas in Europe, Walt decided to lie about his age in 1918 to be able to join the American Ambulance Corporation, where this was the first of many careers in his adult life. When he returned, he began pursuing his dreams of becoming a newspaper cartoonist, but it wasn't a straight line of success. He went through many failures before he gained the level of success that he has today. For example, according to the Walt Disney Family Museum, the Iwerks Disney commercial artists failed in 1920. In 1923, his company Laugh-O-Gram failed as well, and although it wasn't a company failure, one of Disney's very first original characters, Oswald, was lost to copyright issues to Charles Mintz in 1927. However, not all was bad during those times. In 1923, Walt and his brother Roy decided to start the Disney Brothers Studios and move to Hollywood so that they could pursue their dreams of directing. And in 1926, they decided to rename it to Walt Disney Studios and move to the Hyperion Avenue, or Hyperion Studios, that you see on the right. Then, in 1928, they designed and voiced the most well-known mouse in the world, Mickey Mouse. A lot of people believe that Mickey Mouse was what launched the company towards its success, but it takes a lot more than just a character to create the level of success that they know today. In a presentation of the Walt Disney Commemorative Medal given by President Richard Nixon in 1969, he is quoted saying, he said that he was an Imagineer, referring to Walt Disney, which means he was an engineer with imagination, but he was more than that. He was a great artist, he was a perfectionist, he was a wonderful human being. He also says earlier on in his speech about how he knew Walt and his wife personally, so he didn't know him just as a businessman, but as a person, which shows he knew what he was talking about. In 1932, the company began using a 3-strip Technicolor technology, taking their black and white cartoons to color, as seen on the right, and they also got access to the multiplane camera in 1937, seen right here on the left, which added a level of depth to their cartoons not seen before. This is best seen in their first feature-length film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, where you can see the background was made to be the trees, the midground is Snow White, and the foreground is all of those pretty little animals. Because of the success of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, they were able to upgrade to a 50-acre lot in Burbank, California in 1938, and in 1939, they began getting awards and recognition for all of their animations, starting with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, where they received the Academy Award. In order to bring in more revenue for the company, they began selling war bonds, one of which is right here on the right, for World War II. And then in 1940, they began selling stocks at $5 a share, and they sold over 60,000 shares. This is one of those official certificates for anybody that bought one. But what really allowed the company to be able to build Disneyland was a deal they made with ABC Studios. In 1954, they made an agreement that if Disney Studios created an hour-long television program, ABC Studios would pay them $50,000. With that money, Walt Disney bought a 244-acre lot near Anaheim, California, where we know Disneyland is located today. In an article published by Reese Fisher and produced by the California State University of Sacramento in 2004, within the first 6 months of Disneyland being open, over 1 million people had attended the parks. This is a picture of what Disneyland looked like when it first opened, and on the right, you can see just how crowded it was. Now, Walt Disney lived a creative and aspiring life, starting with his childhood where he was allowed to learn his love of drawing, continuing into his adulthood where he loved his job of drawing cartoons and even voicing them, and ending with his dream of creating the parks where families could come and experience that magic. So, after learning all of this, I hope when you think of the Disney Studios, you'll remember the time, effort, and love that went into what we know today.